so here we go. We're going to do a lot of graphing this unit, a lot of graphing. Okay, in particular, we worked with sine and cosine last unit. Those are the graphs we're going to graph. Okay, so a lot of graphing, a lot of graphing. First thing I want to bring your attention to is your graphs, your setup of the graphs is going to change. You guys are used to an XY axis where you go by ones, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But you'll see on the x-axis, you don't go by ones. Heck, you don't even go by whole numbers. When you graph sine and cosine, we graph in radians. Okay? So your x-axis will always be in radians. In radians, all right? We're not going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go in radians. And your y-axis does go by numbers, all right? Not radians. But it's only your x-axis is in radians. So just take a quick peek at that. All right, it's in radians. All right, the first one we're going to graph together is going to be the sine curve. All right, we're going to graph the sine curve all together. So we need to find points on the sine curve. So what we're going to do together, we're going to fill out this chart for 0, 30, 60, 90, all the way to 360, the sine value. All right, we are about to graph the sine curve. Here we go. All right, since it's first period, I got to be a little more animated to make sure we're all awake and focused. First thing, in your calculator, sine 0. What do you got? 0. There you go. That's the y value. So sine of 0 is 0. We knew that. I didn't need my calculator. We learned that last unit. All right, let's keep going. Sine of 30. Yeah, I know it's probably going to be what? 1/2. We knew that, right? Sine of 60, yep, radical 3/2, but that's kind of hard to graph. So can you give me maybe 2 numbers after the decimal? 0.8, 7, 6? I'll go 0.87. There it is. Sine of 90, let's keep going. 1. What we have, right? Y coordinate at 90. All right, let's keep filling out this chart now. All right, let's keep filling out this chart. And then we'll go step by step graphing it. Okay, got all our values? Making sure we all match up here. All right, ready to graph it? Ready to graph it? Okay, so where it's 0, at 0, it's 0. And each tick mark is, so the next one's 30 pi over 6. Every tick mark is represented here. So the next one's going to be at, what point am I going to graph now? 1/2, right? 0.5. So everyone see I'm going to go up to 0.5. That's at pi over 6, aka 30. And do your best here. 0.87. Not 1, but almost close to 1, right? And then where is it at 90? Pi over 2. I hit 1. There we go. And then you start seeing we go back down. We start repeating again. So 0.87, 1/2, and then at pi I should be at back to 0. Okay, Laura. And now where do I go after pi? I go down to, where's after pi? Negative 1/2, 0.5, negative 0.87, just above -1, right? And then at 3 pi over 2, boom. And then we start working our way back up again. Negative 0.87, negative 1/2, and the graph ends at 0. So I should have something that looks like that. Let's make sure we do. Okay, this is called the sine curve. It is a smooth curve, and I'm exaggerating that point because that's exactly how I want you to draw this in now, is a smooth curve. All right, shouldn't look like this. All right, like the heart monitor at the hospital. That's the smooth, this is a smooth curve. So everyone take a look at what we have right now. That is a sine curve. That right there is at one full sine curve, right there. One full sine curve. If I extended the graph and asked you to graph past 2 pi, what would happen? It would start repeating itself. All right, so please don't do this. Take a look at mine. If I said, hey, let's go past 2 pi, what's going to happen? It's going to start repeating itself again. Okay, that is one full sine curve right there. And we're not going to do it, but what would happen if I asked you to graph to the left? Not the best, but we get the idea. It's going to keep repeating itself. But this right here, what you guys have graphed, is one full sine curve. Okay, one full sine curve. All right, let's write down a couple facts about it, because this will help us out. What's the max? Max value. Max, it goes up to 1. How about the minimum value? Negative 1, yep. Max goes up to 1, down negative 1. All right, I'm going to introduce a new word here today, which is period. Okay, period. How long, what's the distance on the x-axis it takes to make one full curve before it starts repeating again? So how long did it take, how long from here to here, 0 to what, did it take before it's going to start repeating again? 0 to 2 pi. So we say the period is 2 pi. It will take 2 pi units on the x-axis before it starts repeating. So the sine curve is 2 pi units long before it starts repeating itself again. Questions? Because this is the last time we fill out a chart this big. We're not going to need a chart anymore. Before we move on, where did the sine curve start? Starts at 0, all right? So this is the last thing I'm going to have you jot down. Starts at 0. Where does it go from there? Where did it go? Started at 0, then it went to what? Went up to what?
1.
What was 1? I don't like to use the number 1, and you'll see why quickly. It went to the max, right? So it starts at 0, goes to the max. Keep telling me where it's going to go here. Starts at 0, goes to the max, then where? All right. There's a stop in between, though, I want to make. Goes back to 0, yep. Back to 0. Then where? Go ahead. Then goes to the minimum, yep. And then where does it end? There you go. That's what you need to, you don't have to memorize everything in between, but you need to remember those critical points right there. Those, what I'm going to call key values. Starts at 0, goes to the max, back to 0, to the min, ends at 0. And that's not going to come right away, but it will after all these sine curves. That's all you need. I don't care about what happens in the middle. Starts at 0, goes to the max, back to 0, to the min, ends at 0. Questions with you guys? Because no, believe it or not, I'm not going to have you fill out a chart now for the next one. All right, let's take a look at that next one. Now, what is it asking me? Not just sine x, but what's in the front now? A 4. Okay, so ready? When the number's out in front, how does it affect the graph? That's your new min and max. All right, when the number out in front is not 1, the number out in front now is 4, that's my new min and max. So instead of going up to 1 and down to -1, where do you think it's going to go? Up to 4 and down to? That's the number in front, and that's how it affects your graph. Okay, it affects the min and the max. So watch how quickly we're going to graph this without a table. Where did you guys tell me sine starts? Look back at the first graph if you need to. Where does sine start? Starts at 0, right? So we're going to start at 0. Then it went to where? Okay, it goes to the... We wrote it down. Starts at 0, then it goes where? What's the max for us on this one? 4. That's the number out in front. But make sure it goes every pi over 2. I hit one of those key values. Not the next one, every pi over 2, right? Look at my graph before. 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi, you hit those key values. All right, so the next point we're going to graph is 4, but where's it going to be? At pi over 2. So now it's going to go to the max, then go where? Well, remember, there's a point in between. Back to 0 at pi. Then where? Minimum, which is now what? -4, because I threw the 4 in there for you. And then where's it going to end? At 0. There you go. There's 4 sine x now, a little bit taller. Sine curve, remember, please, curve. All right, I wanted to do the graph first, so let's answer part A now. Let's answer part A. So what degree values are the maximums at? There's only one max here. Where was the max at? 4. Okay, 4, but what degree values now? Where was it at? Pi over 2. All right, so the max at pi over 2. What about a minimum? I know it's -4, but I'm not concerned what it is. It's asking me what degree measure, what value? At 3 pi over 2. So the min at 3 pi over 2. And the middle values. The zeros. Where were they at 0? What values? So middle values at, even before pi. Where do we start?
0.
So at 0, where else? Keep going. Pi and 2 pi. That's where I had middle values. That's going to be the same every time. Start at 0 to the max, 0, min, 0. All right, let's answer a couple questions now based on this. What's the period? How long did it take to make this curve? Because if I ask you to continue, it's going to keep repeating. So how long did it take? 2 pi, yeah. That's probably going to be our answer for the next couple days before I change that. All right, go back to Algebra 2A last year. What's the range? What's range mean again? Y values, right? So you tell me something about their Y values. 4 to -4. I'm going to have you write it in notation, though. Anybody remember doing the brackets and the parentheses? Yep, that's what I'm going to... Does it include 4? Does the range include the number 4?
Yes.
It's a point on here. And does it include -4?
Yes.
So here's the range. Brackets, because it includes them. Where's it go from?
4 to -4.
Well, I put the smaller one first. -4 to 4. I don't know if you guys remember that notation from last year. Again, why is it in brackets? Because it includes -4 and 4. If it didn't include it, I put parentheses. Yep.
Isn't that like the whole dots and then the dots, the circle dots, right? Will we have that?
Not here. I know what you're thinking about, but not. You're thinking about like here,
Yeah, like that.
right?
doesn't
Something.
include
Yeah,
that.
that's Regents review.
Okay.
All right, that'll be Regents review, Connor. Yep, I won't do that to you here. All right, what over what interval is it increasing? All right, if I gave somebody my pen right now and said circle a portion of the graph where it's increasing, could you do it? Said come up here, circle a portion of this graph where this graph is increasing. Could you do it?
Yes.
How many spots would you be able to circle on here where it's increasing? Right, I hope, right here, and right here. Everyone agrees? Okay, so how do I write where it's increasing? From 0 to where is it increasing? 0 to, I'm looking for x values here. 0 to where on that graph? 0 to what? Pi over 2. Now, I'll write 0, comma pi over 2 here. Now the question is, should I get brackets or not? If you look at 0, is it doing anything? Is it actually increasing or decreasing at 0? No, it's just there. So that's why I'm going to put parentheses around these two instead of brackets. Because it's not actually increasing at those points. And where else? We got one more. Remember, I don't want y values. We're looking on the x-axis. Where is it increasing? X-axis. Where is it increasing? 3 pi over 2 to 2 pi. That's where it's increasing as well. And then can you guys give me a name for the line that splits the min and max in half? So here's the min, here's the max. Anybody want to tell me the line that splits it in half? Right down in between the two, the line that splits it in half. Where is it? If I had you draw the line right now that splits those in half. Well, how far apart are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're 8 units apart. So what's going to be halfway? This line right here, right? X-axis. Yeah. Everyone see that? What I'm talking about? Splits those in half. Because I can't wait to start calling on people here in a second. Okay, before I move on, what's the number out in front do? That's the min and max. Where's sine start? 0. Goes to where? Max, then where? Back to 0 to where? Minimum to 0. That's all you got to remember. And you got to remember what the max is because it's not always 1. Questions? That's just sine curve. We got to go over cosine right now too. Ready? All right, what's the cosine curve look like? Let's do the same. Can you guys do the same exact thing you did for sine for me? Now you hit the cosine button. So go ahead and fill in your chart. Cosine's going to look a heck of a lot different than sine. Should say heck of a lot different, but different. Notice it doesn't start at 0, huh? Ready to graph it? Where does it start? Big difference right there, right? Big difference from sine. Does not start at 0, starts at 1. And then here we go, 0.87, 0.5, back to 0, no, back to, stay right at 0, negative 0.5, 0.87, negative 1 at pi. And then here we go, going back up. And again, smooth curve. Make sure we have a curve at the bottom of that graph there and not a V shape. So there's your cosine curve. If I asked you to graph it past 2 pi, just like sine, same thing's going to happen. I'd have, keep repeating. Same thing on this side. Keep repeating. All right. Okay, tell me something. Ready? Let's tell me something. Where does it start? I don't want to hear. Yes, you're correct.
Max.
The what?
The max.
Max, yes. I like, because like you guys just saw, max is going to change. All right, change from problem to problem. So I'd like to say starts at the max instead of 1. So starts at the max. All right, keep going. Starts at the max. Next key value at 90, pi over 2, where does it go to? Goes to 0, yep. And I'll have another name for 0 in a couple days. So it goes to 0. Yep, next key value at pi, where does it go to then? Goes to the minimum. Good. Next key value, back up to, yep, back to 0. And then where does it end? Back at the max. Good. Don't say 1, ends at the max, because that could be a different number other than 1. Okay, questions there. Cosine curve. So we got sine and cosine, and we're not going to do the tangent curve. This is what we're dealing with all unit long, are these two curves. The only thing we're going to do, make it bigger, make it shorter, stretch it out. We're going to do a bunch of things with it. All right, let's see. So now I got 1/2 cosine x, right? Did that give us an opportunity to graph it first before? Yeah, let's graph it first. All right, let's graph this bad boy, then we'll answer all the questions. So if you go to the next page, I want to graph it first. I always like graphing, then answering the questions. All right, help me out. Now what do I have in front of it? A 1/2. So that's only going to affect my what? Max and the min. Where's it going to start? The max, which is? Starts at 1/2. Goes to, you can look back if you need to. Cosine starts at the max, goes to 0. That's my next key value at pi over 2 is 0. Max 0 where? Where's it go now? Minimum, which is what for this curve? Negative 1/2. Back to where? 0. And ends at the max, 1/2. That's all I need to know. The direction the curve goes. And then a nice smooth curve. right, let's answer some questions. All right, I got a new vocabulary term here, all right, that I need to discuss. Amplitude. That's how you say it, amplitude for part A. That is the height. That's another name for the height of the graph. Okay. I'm going to give you a formula for it right now. All right, how to find the height of the graph. It's a very simple formula. The amplitude, ready, is equal to 1/2 max minus min. 1/2 max minus min. That's how I find the amplitude. We'll use that formula a lot. So you guys help me out finding the amplitude. So it's 1/2 times, what was my max for this curve? Max value, 1/2 minus the minimum, which was negative 1/2. Connor, if you don't stay awake, I'm telling you. We good? Everyone see where they came from, max minus min. All right, go ahead. 1/2 minus a negative 1/2, and then 1/2 of it. I know it's a lot of 1/2s, but.
1.
No. You get 1 in the parentheses, yeah. I still got to multiply it by 1/2.
1/2.
What's that?
1/2.
The amplitude should be 1/2, right? Because everyone's getting 1 out of here. Negative 1/2 minus 1/2 minus negative 1/2 is 1. Take half of it, you get 1/2. So there's the height, 1/2. And some of you might notice a little pattern as we keep doing these, but I won't discuss it now. Period. Go back to your curve. How long did it take to make that curve? Didn't take a half a unit. 2 pi, yep. And yes, I know that's going to be my answer for a while here for when it asks for the period, how long. That'll change quickly. You guys know the rest, right? What's the max? 1/2. What's the min? Negative 1/2. Yep. All right, let's get better at this now. Range. Range. You kind of already have it written up there, don't you?
Yeah.
What's the y values go from? Negative 1/2 to 1/2, yeah. In parentheses, because it's included, negative 1/2. Max, it's min to max, sorry, min to max. That should be a bracket. Min to max. All right. And then, all right, go to F now. We got the graph, and now let's go to F. Where's it decreasing? If you want to do it like I do it and circle the part where it's decreasing, go ahead. Where's this graph decreasing? Do you think you could circle it? Where's it decreasing? From where to where on the x-axis? From where to right here? You guys are hopefully circling this part here. That's where it's decreasing. All right, tell me from where to where on the x-axis is it decreasing? 0 to pi. And then these go in parentheses because it's not actually decreasing at 0 or at pi. It's just there. So that's why it gets parentheses versus brackets. Any questions about cosine? So here's what's the bottom line today. You got to know where it goes. Starts where, goes where, ends where. All right, for sine and cosine. Yes, Jeremy, question? What do I got? One more here to do? Yep, one more. All right, so now we go to sine curve. What's new about this, though? A negative, not the 2. Well, what's the 2 telling us? Max and min is going to be 2. Here's what the negative is saying. Those maxes and mins, wherever they are, you flip them over the x-axis. So wherever I had a max will now be a minimum. Wherever I had a minimum will be a maximum. That's what the negative sign tells you. Wherever zeros, stay zeros. They can't flip. But maxes become mins, mins become maxes. That's what the negative sign tells us. It flips. The sine curve's going to flip. All right, tell me something. Where's sine start? If we got to look back, we look back. Where does sine curve start? So it's going to stay 0. The flipping has no effect on the zeros. It's going to start at 0. Usually, where would it go from here? To the max. But the negative says, no, 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 no. We were flipping it. So now where is it going to go? Minimum, which is -2. That's what that negative sign does. It flips the curve for me. Sine curve goes where next? Back to 0. That has no, the negative has no effect. Usually at 3 pi over 2, I'm at a minimum. All right, I'm at a minimum, but now I flip it. Goes to my max at 2. And then where's my sine curve end?
0.
That doesn't, the negative again does not affect the zeros. And as you guys can see, if you want to compare it to the first graph we did, it is flipped. All right, it is flipped. Okay, go ahead, flip it over. See how many you can do on your own here in the next 5 minutes, 6 minutes. All right, without me up here in front telling you what to do. Flip it over, see what you can do. Notice the number out in front. If you got to flip back and forth from your notes, if it's a sine curve, where does it start? Where does it go? The number out in front. And you guys are only going to do it from 0 to 2 pi. Don't think you got to fill in the full graph. All right, 0 to 2 pi only. All right, we're not ready to graph in the negative direction yet. So 0 to 2 pi only.